What's up guys, JTails here for another video, and this is going to be a very important video. I'm going to show you a few things that are going to help you figure out what Pokemon you want on your team and how to build your competitive teams in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Right now I'm on a website called PokemonShowdown.com. This site allows you to build teams and battle online so that you can simulate situations, you can test things out, and you don't have to do it in your game. You don't have to hatch the eggs, you don't have to do all that stuff. You can kind of play around and test to figure out what you want to build in game. Let me just show you guys a few things, something that I have been doing for the past 2 weeks, and it's helped me out a lot. So you just click right here to watch a battle, and then what you're gonna do is usually I'll just do the format OU, Sword and Shield singles. So it depends which one you want to play. I'm going to go into 2v2 doubles as well, which is I think VGC format, as well as OU. Let's just take OU for an example, and maybe I'll just set the elo a little bit higher so I'm watching more experienced players play the game. So if we do 1500 minimum elo, we can actually just click on one of these matches. Let's go into a 1600 game and see what kind of teams people are running. Not only can you see what kind of teams they're running, but you can also see how well you can watch them win or lose, you know what I mean? And right, so we notice already off the bat that both these players have Darmanitan on their team, right? So it's kind of like, okay, maybe Darmanitan's really good in the meta. We see a Rotom, we see a Ferrothorn. A lot of these Pokemon I have on my team actually. Over here we have Toxtricity. So you can kind of get a snapshot of the meta. That's just one aspect of team building information that I wanted to share with you guys. Aside from you guys just going online in the game and scouting and seeing what's strong, watching YouTube videos, stuff like that. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of the video. So I'm going to click on OU and yeah, Gen 8 OU. I thought I had a team. You're going to click on Team Builder and you hit new team. My data might have gotten erased, so I'm gonna go ahead and click on add Pokemon. And so the first thing you want to do when you're building a team is establish a core. So let's pretend that I wanted to build a team around Gyarados, right? Gyarados is a Pokemon that I really like. You can build around certain Pokemon. So if I'm going to have Gyarados and I'm doing singles, I'm probably going to play Moxie Gyarados, right? Every time he gets a KO, he gains more attack. But if I'm playing VGC, or doubles, I'll probably take Intimidate, right? Because when you throw Gyarados out, he will intimidate both Pokemon and they will both lose attack. So it's kind of more valuable to play Intimidate Gyarados in doubles, but Moxie Gyarados in singles. So ability and context in which you're going to use this team or this Pokemon matters. So let's go ahead and pretend that we're building a Moxie for singles Gyarados. And if you haven't watched my videos on EVs and IVs, definitely check it out. Link is in the description below. But we'll just do the basic 252 attack, 252 speed, and then I'll just hit plus on the physical attack. And I'm setting his nature, you guys. So now he's adamant, right? So you just hit a plus, hit a minus, and you can choose the natures here. So this kind of just lets you simulate breeding, EV training, and everything as far as Pokemon goes. Whatever, waterfall, this is just for example, right? I'm thinking in my head, all right, I want to build a team around Gyarados. What do I need? He's 4 times weak to thunder, or like electric, right? So I need Pokemon that are going to counter electric types. Electric moves will kill him in one shot. So if my opponent's going to have an electric Pokemon, I need to have a ground type Pokemon. And what's really cool is that you can sort by types and you can sort by stats too. So filter, so now I'm getting shown only all the ground types, right? And this is a very basic example, but I'm just trying to illustrate a point for you guys. So when you are building around a Pokemon, you want to support that Pokemon's strengths and cover that Pokemon's weaknesses. So you're like, okay, well, he's weak to electric. Let me pick someone that resists electric or that really doesn't let electric type Pokemon play the game, right? Of course, there's going to be Rotom that has Levitate, so it's going to ignore Earthquake. The reason why it's so important to scout and see what other people are playing in the meta is because you have to know what you're trying to counter, right? Like, Rotom can really tank hits, and he's going to stick around and really punish Gyarados for trying to set up. He can Thunder Wave him, he can do a lot of things. So that's why I'll have the Lumberry on Gyarados, and I'm going to want like maybe a Ferrothorn or a Grass type to counter Rotom so that he doesn't get a lot of mileage off of punishing my Gyarados Moxie, right? Because I'm going to have to leave him in once he starts ramping up. So it's important to scout so that you can kind of see what other people are running, and you can then plan accordingly to cover your other Pokemon's weaknesses. So I'll probably go Ferrothorn with like Power Whip and maybe invest a little bit of EVs into physical attack, even though most of the EVs are going into HP and physical defense, so that Ferrothorn's bulky, but I would want something to protect Gyarados from Rotom. So again, if you notice, Hippowdon is very bulky in terms of physical defense, and so is Ferrothorn. I mean, I'm designing my Ferrothorn to be bulky in physical defense, right? So we don't have anything that's strong in terms of special defense, which is a problem. You know, because what if I run into a Hydreigon, right, with Fire Blast? Ferrothorn's not going to make it. And if that Hydreigon also has Thunderbolt, Gyarados isn't going to make it. So I would have to find another Pokemon that is very bulky in terms of special defense. So what I'm going to do now is actually click on this special defense button right here, and it's going to sort in order of the strongest special defense in the game. Obviously we're not going to use Shuckle, but maybe we'll use Goodra or Toxapex to counter a Hydreigon, or we can use Aegislash, right? So you have to think about what's going to counter your Pokemon. Maybe Sylveon, right? Because Fairy deals quadruple damage to Hydreigon. It's super effective against Dragon and Dark. So Sylveon could be a good choice. Very special defense, bulky. So if I need to switch her in to a Hydreigon using Draco Meteor, I can do that. And now the Hydreigon's gonna have to switch out because it's a terrible matchup, and that gives me a turn to set up my Sylveon, right? So maybe we can give her like Calm Mind, and when I swap into like a counter, a Hydreigon or something that I know is gonna use a Dragon move, then I can switch in Sylveon. Has no effect on Fairy type. Calm Mind, since I know that they're gonna switch out, and start setting up my sweep. So we're going to make this Sylveon a bulky Sylveon, just to tank hits, but we're also going to invest some EVs in special attack, because I think that once we get her set up, it's going to be a good, you know, way to go about it, right? And we want a Fairy type move, a strong one, so she's a special attacker. We'll probably put Moonblast on there, since Calm Mind powers up Moonblast. Maybe a substitute if we're trying to set up, if that's the purpose of my Sylveon. So it depends on what role a Pokemon's going to have on your team, whether you're going to make them a strong special attacker or a bulky sort of defensive type of Pokemon. And once again, guys, I'm just illustrating the points for you so you can kind of take these points home and figure out how to build as well. Usually around the last two Pokemon, they're meant to fill in the gaps, right? So normally if you have like 2 or 3 Pokemon that are weak to the same type, you're going to want a 5th or 6th Pokemon to check that type, because sometimes you can only spread out so far. Right now we're pretty spread out, and I don't think we have enough support for Gyarados. We don't have like anybody that can make it rain. So maybe I would put like a Rotom Wash so we can Dynamax it and use like Max Geyser, and then it'll start raining, and that'll support Gyarados with his Waterfall to boost the attack. So Moxie can go off and we can start sweeping. So finally, maybe for the last Pokemon, you have to think about what types can you not cover, right? So we have Fairy, which beats Dragon and Fighting. We have Electric and Water, so we have Flying in check. Ground, fire in check. We have electric in check with Hippowdon. So we don't have anything against a steel type. A steel type, weak against fighting, weak against fire, right? We have no fire moves. So a steel type would completely wreck Sylveon. It would resist Ferrothorn and Rotom. It would probably do pretty good against our team right now. So that means I'm going to need someone that can learn fire moves. So I can probably put Hydreigon on my team with Fire Blast and give him choice spec. Or we can try to filter for fire and try to find a good fire type if that's the route that we want to go. I'm thinking Hydreigon might be the play here since it just has really good typing and it can serve the same purpose as a fire type in this niche. So another interesting thing just came up. I don't have anything against fairy types, right, which are also prevalent in the meta. So I had this set on my Ferrothorn and just to kind of stall, deal damage through poison, right? But since I don't have coverage against a fairy type, I'm gonna get rid of Toxic and actually switch over to Iron Head. Even though it's, you know, not that strong, the Pokemon's really slow, it's going to super resist fairy types and we can kind of keep them in check too. It's important to kind of just always think about which types are you weak against, which types do you need a little bit more coverage against, and how can you fill in those roles, right? So hopefully this kind of clears things up for you. PokemonShowdown.com is a very good tool to use for team building. Maybe Hippowdon shouldn't really be here, but I was just trying to illustrate a point to make sure that whoever you're building around, you want to keep their counters in check. So there's a lot to think about when building your team, and you have to think about the Pokemon that are going to support the ones that you're building around. Essentially, think about which types that you're not covering and include those types in your move pool. Depending on a Pokemon's role is going to determine their moveset and their EV spread. So if someone's meant to kind of switch in to check in dragons and dark types, you're going to want to build them heavy in special defense so that you can tag them in on like a Draco Meteor. You're also going to want at least one Pokemon that's very bulky in special defense and one Pokemon that's very bulky in physical defense. And you're also going to want a very strong special attacker and a very strong physical attacker. It's just a rule of thumb. You don't always need one of each, but it really helps for you to, you know, if you have a problem in one of those areas, or a Pokemon's using Calm Mind, and then they're going to start blasting you away, you're going to want that special defensive wall to come out and deal with the problem. Same thing goes for physical attackers as well. So hopefully this is a good introduction for you guys to start team building. I do want to make a video on how to team build with VGC, or aka doubles, and talk about some synergies that go on there. I think it's really important to take note of, and hopefully this gives you guys a good first step to get started on building your own teams. I will be making more competitive videos as well as playing online, so if you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. I'd greatly appreciate that, and consider subscribing to the channel for more competitive Pokemon content. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all next time.